I have a friend, Ted, who 6 or 7 years ago was 64 and considered a retirement. Ted worked in health analytics for a large metro health organization. He would look at patient data and see ways to improve patient outcomes and gain funding. Each month, he would email the relevant department heads links and data for government grants or funding applications. A year prior to this, Ted got a new boss, Sally, who didn't appreciate what Ted did. She pretty much ignored Ted except for telling him that all the data and reports go to her and no one else, and that she would deal with it. The organization was declaring a restructure with lots of job losses. They were extremely determined to see this through. Ted was to be redundant. In a meeting, Sally tells Ted his work is useless, and he's of no use to the organization. She tells him she hasn't opened any of his reports in a year, and that it clearly shows that he doesn't matter to the organization, and in 3 months will be redundant and receive a handsome package over a year's pay. She was rude to Ted, and HR asked her to leave. It was decided that Sally would no longer deal with Ted. The union was putting in a decent fight to slow down the restructure, so Ted made an offer to HR that he wouldn't fight the redundancy if they would pay him 3 months sick leave and then his retirement. They agree, but insist that he does a full data sweep for patient confidentiality reasons, and in the next 2 days, his sick leave would start. Cue malicious compliance. Ted backed up a copy and then would bring IT, who would delete every file, all on his hard drive and now on a server. He was not so tech savvy, and physically destroy his hard drive. He also asked them to search through any unopened emails he had sent and delete them off the server. IT wiped every last trace of Ted from the system. Ted gave the copy of his data to the internal auditors on his last day. On Ted's last day, he also discovered that Sally didn't know he was going on sick leave. She rings with the sweetest pie voice saying, "Hey Ted, I need to look at those numbers you sent me as I can't find them. The auditors say we are 2.2 million short of funding this year, and you might be able to help out." Ted replies, "Sure, but ring me tomorrow." He leaves and retires happily ever after. Sally apparently cannot find Ted's data in the coming weeks. He had ignored her calls while he was on sick leave. The internal auditors investigated and found that she had cost the organization over $2.5 million in funding. At the same time, complaints came from department heads about Ted's retirement. Someone forwarded Ted an email a couple months later from the CEO stating after a brief conversation with Sally, she has decided to look for other opportunities.